All right, we have some major breaking news, and I just want to put a warning right here. What follows in this video is going to be incredibly sick and twisted, but it follows multiple weeks of sick and twisted reporting about Trump's quite secretive relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know how he does it, but Trump is continuing to make his own situation 10 times worse every single time he opens his mouth, and today was no different. Aboard Air Force One just a few hours ago, Donald Trump was talking about Jeffrey Epstein's relationship with certain girls that worked for Trump's country club. And in talking about this, he said that he admitted that Epstein was, quote unquote, stealing young girls from his country club, which in this admission, there are about 100 different things that I want to pick apart that are equally as shocking, equally as incriminating. Trump is so cognitively declined that he is just making shocking admissions on Air Force One like it's nothing. I mean, first of all, why do you have young girls working for Mar-a-Lago that are under 18? Why did you know about that? Why did you have Epstein just walking around? Why did you know about that? And why did you say that you didn't know about any of Epstein's proclivities until now? Now we know that you did know. It's all contradictory, and I want to break it down. But first, I think this only backs up the story told by author Michael Wolff. Michael Wolff was the person who has broken a lot of these Epstein stories, like Epstein calling Trump his best friend. Michael Wolff interviewed Epstein. He wrote Fire and Fury. Here's a story that Michael Wolff tells, and this lays the groundwork. Again, I said not safe for work at the beginning of the video. None of this is safe for work. It is all quite disgusting. That being said, make sure you're following the Adam Mockler feed because we will not back down and we need your support. Thank you very much.
At any rate, at one point after Trump had been elected, I was sitting talking to Epstein, and he said, "Wait a minute, I got to show you something." And then he went into his safe, and he came out with photographs. They were Polaroids, I think, and he kind of spread them out like playing cards, and it was Trump. I mean, I think there were a dozen of them, and it was Trump with girls of an uncertain age at Epstein's Palm Beach house, where all of the things that he would ultimately be accused of took place. And I remember very vividly three of them. There are two in which Trump is, the girls, topless girls, are sitting on Trump's lap. And then a third in which he has a stain on the front of his pants, and the girls are kind of pointing at it, sort of bent over, laughing, covering
their mouths.
Yeah, exactly, and pointing. Three or four girls, and those are the ones I specifically remember. And my assumption is that they were in the safe, and I have seen them on other occasions take them out of the safe, and I think it's certainly not unlikely that they were in the safe when the FBI came in after his arrest and took everything from the house, including everything that was.
Okay, so in all of the missing pieces of the puzzle, we can also kind of still put the pieces of the puzzle together. Here's how I view it. Michael Wolff interviewed Jeffrey Epstein repeatedly after Epstein and Trump had fallen out, like officially. Trump had iced Epstein out of his orbit entirely for a while, and that's why Epstein and Steve Bannon were friends, if you watched my video earlier. So Michael Wolff is sitting there interviewing Epstein. Epstein no longer likes Trump, so he begins to show all of this incriminating evidence that he has. He's like, look, I used to be friends with Trump. He said that on tape. Trump and I were friends for 10 years, best friends. So he's talking about Trump. Then he begins to show Michael Wolff, the author, the guy who recorded those tapes, the photographs that he has, the incriminating evidence that he has. Then Epstein goes to jail. He mysteriously dies under Trump. But now, Ghislaine Maxwell, who holds all of the leverage, she's like the secret key. She's like the master key to all of this. She's the one who knows about these photos, knows about all of this, and now she's using her leverage to try to get one over on the Trump administration. Remember, Ghislaine and her lawyers are making a calculated move I'm not saying it's a good move or it's a move that I support. I'm just saying they're making a calculated legal move. It's kind of ruthless to try to take advantage of the confusion that Trump is creating right now and manipulate him and his administration. What they're doing is dangling the potential of cooperation, saying, listen, I may cooperate and tell you what you want, or I may be silent, depending on how much you give me leeway. So if Trump softens his stance on her, pushes for clemency, allows Congress to give her some sort of immunity, then she'll dangle that cooperation and give it. But right now, she knows that her value lies in her knowledge of the past and the secrets that she clutches. These secrets that implicate powerful people, the secrets that we are learning about right here. And this brings me to the shocking video of Trump incriminating himself on Air Force One just earlier today. I'll play the video, but to report on it, it says, new Trump remarks on Air Force One on his fallout with Epstein. Quote, he took people that worked for me, and I told him, don't do it anymore. And he did it. I said, stay the hell out of here. Asked if any of the workers Epstein took were young women, quote, well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken. And the answer is yes, they were. In the spa. Yeah, people that work in the spa. Asked if one of those employees was Virginia Giuffre, quote, I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people. Yeah, he stole her. It's like Trump is debating with himself in these answers. He's like, I don't know. I think so. I think so. Actually, yeah, no, he did. It's like he's conceding it all. That's how cognitively declining he is. John, in the replies, raises a good question. Why would the owner of a country club, the owner, even know about the hiring and then poaching of an under 18, part-time, and lowest paid employee at the business, let alone know her name, even care enough about her role at the club to break off his only real relationship, but 5 years later over it? Yeah. So Trump broke off his relationship with Epstein over some fight. The fight has always been a little bit murky, but now it's because he was stealing people, stealing Virginia Giuffre. But again, why would the owner of a country club, the person at the highest level, know about the hiring and then poaching of some part-time, low-paid employee who works at the spa, who's under 18? And why are they hiring people like this in the first place? Like, I run a really small business. It's me and my editor. I have a producer and cameraman, Nate. I know all my employees' names. I know them very, very well. But when Trump is running a spa, multiple country clubs, at some point he was running multiple beauty pageants. That's a separate story. You're not supposed to know the name of every single employee. I mean, it's a little bit unrealistic for Jeff Bezos to know the name of every employee, but it's like Jeff Bezos does know the name of one 15-year-old spa girl. That's the really, really creepy part. This brings me on to the audio. And really quickly, listen to this. Did you guys know that Trump's new big ugly bill makes ICE the highest funded U.S. law enforcement agency? Well, most right-wing sources are not reporting on the facts of the bill. For example, American Faith, this right-wing news source, only reports this as Trump's deportation plan boosts American jobs. That's one way to put it when farmers are complaining about all of their workers disappearing, but other news sources that are more local actually report on the economic harm. So Arizona PBS reports Trump's mega bill immigration provisions could add $1 trillion to the national debt. Those are two completely different interpretations based on the biases of the news source. That's why I'm lucky to partner with Ground News. They make it so much easier to get perspective on these important stories by pulling all of the sources into one easy feed to show each source's political bias, their credibility, and the news that is not being covered. I mean, some news, like the one on screen, is being covered 56% by left-leaning sources and only 20% by right-leaning sources. So if you want a more thorough view, click the top link in the description to get 40% off the same Vantage plan I use. That is $5 a month for unlimited access by going to ground.news/am. The link will be right below the video. Just go click it right below or click the QR code on screen. I want to say thank you to Ground News and thank you to you all. Listen to this until the end and then we'll continue.
So, Mr. President, Epstein has a certain reputation, obviously. I'm just curious, were some of the workers that were taken from you, were some of them young women?
Some of them.
Were some of them young women?
Well, I don't want to say, but everyone knows the people that were taken, and it was the concept of taking people that work for me is bad. But that story's been pretty well out there. And the answer is yes, they were.
Yes, they were young women.
What did they do? In the spa.
In the spa.
Yeah, people that work in the spa. I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago. And people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone. And other people would come and complain, this guy is taking people from the spa. I didn't know that. And then when I heard about it, I told him, I said, listen, we don't want you taking our people, whether it was spa or not spa. I don't want him taking people. And he was fine, and then not too long after that, he did it again, and I said, out of here.
Mr. President, did one of those stolen, persons, that include Virginia Giuffre?
I don't know. I think she worked at the spa. I think so. I think that was one of the people, yeah. He stole her. And by the way, she had no complaints about us, as you know. None whatsoever.
He says so many things in this one clip that it's hard to even dissect. I mean, at one moment, he's bragging about how he had the best spas in the world. This is in between him talking about his sex trafficking friend, Jeffrey Epstein, and a victim that was sex trafficked from his spa. He randomly begins to talk about how he has the best spas in the world. Absolutely absurd. But number two, he admits a lot of things. A lot of things. He says in this tape, he did it a few times. He took people from the spa, and I said, stop, so he stopped, and then he started doing it again. Wait, so you let him sex traffic young girls out of your spa, and you thought he was done for a bit, and only after the third or fourth strike, you cut off the friendship? He doesn't know how to stop incriminating himself. I want to show you this tweet that says, Trump just said that Virginia Giuffre was one of the staff members Epstein stole from him. Giuffre worked at Mar-a-Lago in 2000 until Trump says Epstein, quote, stole her, which he claims is what led him to kick Epstein out of his club and end their friendship. The problem is, 2 years later, Trump was still friends with Epstein, even going so far as to call him a terrific guy with an admirable taste in women. He had a quote that says he even likes them young. This was after the fact. Now it all makes sense. The timeline is coming together. Trump says Epstein likes his women young, and this was 2 years after Epstein was caught in his spa. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell is the one who knows a lot of this. Her value lies in the fact that she knows how the timeline connects, and I don't want anyone to sort of whitewash or downplay what Ghislaine Maxwell did. Here's a clip from MSNBC of them, describing exactly what type of person Ghislaine was.
The second time, the president he had an opportunity to say, I would not give this lady a pardon. She is a predator. But he, again, demurred and deferred. This is who Ghislaine Maxwell is. This is an excerpt from Dateline. A woman named Virginia Giuffre is telling Savannah Guthrie that she gets approached by this beautiful, well-spoken, well-mannered woman with an English accent, prim and proper, she said. It's so funny that you're reading a book on that because I know this older gentleman who's looking for a traveling masseuse. He's super rich. He flies around everywhere. Savannah asked her, did she say her name? And she said, she told me her name was Ghislaine Maxwell. And she said, if you're interested, you can come by the house tonight and go for an interview. I read that because Virginia Giuffre was recruited by Ghislaine Maxwell. You know where she was recruited at? Mar-a-Lago, at 16 years old. Okay? So when the president today talks about the help that Jeffrey Epstein stole from him, when he refuses and demurs on condemning Ghislaine Maxwell, what he is talking about is young women who were sex trafficked, young girls who were trafficked, who were baited, groomed, and trafficked. And he is talking about a woman who was the chief recruiter for the trafficking organization.
Yep, he's talking about granting her clemency, or at least not ruling it out. Here is Virginia Giuffre herself, rest in peace.
She's a monster. She's worse than Epstein. She did things even worse than Epstein did. She was vicious, she was evil, and she was a woman.
Her lawyers have said Ghislaine Maxwell is not a Jeffrey Epstein. That she has been a victim of media spin.
They're doing their job, but I know that woman. I've known her really well. Put it this way. Epstein was Pinocchio, and she was Geppetto. She was the guy controlling
the strings.
Jeffrey. Yep, she was pulling the strings. She had his money. He had her contacts. But Ghislaine was much more conniving and smart than Epstein ever was.
Virginia, how did you meet her and what was her pitch to you?
I'm working at Mar-a-Lago, loving it. I'm working in the spa area. I was reading about anatomy and massage, and that's when Ghislaine came up to me and said, "Oh my God, you're reading a book about massage." And, you know, long story short, she told me that she knew of a man who was looking for a traveling masseuse. And if he liked me, then I would get educated and I would become a real massage therapist. So yeah, I mean, it was a dream of a lifetime until I got there, and the abuse was immediate.
It has been reported that they would prey on young girls who were vulnerable.
She could smell the vulnerability on a person. I told them a little bit about my past and how I'd been abused. So immediately it was like the Cheshire smile is what I call it. And I asked her, I said, "Why are you having all these girls come in and sleep with your boyfriend?" And she was like, "So I don't have to do it all the time." You know, so she made like a joke out of it.
Why do you think she did it?
She did it to keep Jeffrey happy, for sure. She did it because she loves the control over people. Jeffrey was a sick pedophile, but she was the mastermind.
What would justice look like for you when it comes to Ghislaine Maxwell?
I would like to see Ghislaine stay in jail forever. I'd like her to apologize for what she's done to me and so many others.
And now Trump is trying to give Ghislaine an out. MAGA would even rehabilitate her at a moment's notice if it was politically convenient. The sad part, the part that made me uniquely sad, is when she was like, you know, I was really enjoying it. I was enjoying the new job, studying anatomy. It seemed like she thought it was going to be a genuine career path. And then sick and vile adults come in and take advantage of a vulnerable kid, ruin that person's career path and passion and current job by abusing them, therefore sending them down a tragic life. I mean, she had a good life, but it seems like a lot of this contributed to the ultimate suicide, a tragic life path, when she just had a job that she enjoyed. She was 16 years old working at the spa. It's incredibly sad. And now Trump is on Air Force One just talking about how, you know, the worst part about this all is not that girls were abused en masse, or that, you know, Epstein is his friend and we can't even get access to the files, but that Epstein stole his help, which there's so much about this that's wrong. We aren't even talking about how weird his verbiage is. Who calls it his help? He stole his help? If Joe Biden had said anything even remotely similar to that, it would have been a news cycle for at least a whole quarter. Here's another clip of Donald Trump talking about Epstein poaching staffers.
Just to button up on Mar-a-Lago, you're saying that Jeffrey Epstein poached 2 of your staffers. Who were they? Were they young?
I don't want to say 2, or I don't want to say any number. You're talking about many years ago. But yeah, he took people, and because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore. You know, they work for me. And he took, beyond that, he took some others. And once he did that, that was the end of him.
Dude, he's just making it worse for himself. This was a part of the story that was important, but it wasn't really front and center. Now people are going to be talking about Mar-a-Lago for the next 2 weeks. They're going to be talking about people being poached. Also, the imagery that he's creating, sorry to be crude, but the imagery that he's creating is almost like he's talking about like hunters, like poachers. Like, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein came and poached multiple young girls that were my help. What are we talking about here? What century are we living in here? To go back to this, the Lincoln Project says 2 years after Epstein, quote, stole Virginia Giuffre away from Trump, Trump had this to say about Epstein. Epstein likes to tell people that he's a loner, a man who's never touched alcohol or drugs, and one whose nightlife is far from energetic. And yet if you talk to Trump, a different Epstein emerges. Quote, I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy, Trump booms from a speakerphone. Quote, he's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life. This is Trump saying, very heavily hinting that he knows. The dude 100% knew throughout all of this, and I'm going to leave it there. If you appreciate this, if you appreciate the work we do on the Adam Mockler channel, all that I ask is that you leave a like below, drop a blue heart, make sure you're subscribed to the Adam Mockler feed, and go follow me on Instagram. It's Instagram, Adam Mockler. We're on Reddit. There's a whole Reddit community that we post on. We're on Substack. Just go to adammockler.com. Anywhere and everywhere. Twitter, TikTok. Go follow. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.